Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and you are watching TTV News with some latest events in TTVN province. And now coming to details. According to the labor industry assessment, the trend of reducing recruitment of new personnel is taking place in many groups of businesses due to the impact of the COVID-19 epidemic. There are only a few businesses with high recruitment demand, concentrated in banking, stock market, information technology.
Facing that situation, the government is about to offer more effective remedies to help enterprises and laborers to stay afloat. According to the Ministry of Finance, regarding upcoming pro-business policies as per National Assembly resolution and direction on supporting enterprises, organizations and individuals exposed to difficulties caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, it is expected that the total money used to assist enterprises, organizations and individuals during this year will reach as much as 118 trillion Vietnam dong in the front of exemption for payment of taxes and land rental and exemption and reduction of fees and charges. In addition, the Ministry of Finance also proposed that authorized agencies consider and determine a number of other solutions to support businesses and individuals. In addition, there will also be a reduction of value-added tasks for business activities in the sector of the most vulnerable of pandemic, such as transport, hotel, and tourism. Taxpayers with difficulties who cannot pay their taxes on time will also be exempted for tax payment. Ladies and gentlemen, in the morning of August the 11th, the Command Military Region 7 held a conference to review the first phase of the peace campaign to help the people affected by COVID-19 pandemic. Lieutenant General Trần Hoài Trung, Secretary of the Party Committee Political Commission of Military Region 7, chaired the conference. Attending the conference at the peace points of the province, there were Colonel Hoàng Xuân Cường, Political Commissioner of Provincial Military Command and heads of departments and divisions under Provincial Military Command. The local armed forces have implemented many practical, effective, and timely models, such as Military Region 7 has established 4 field hospitals for infectious diseases, coordinated to send more than 6,100 nurses and doctors to support localities, methods for isolation treatment of COVID-19 patients, mobilized more than 60,600 officers, soldiers, and militias to participate in coordination in the epidemic prevention and control at troops, checkpoints, isolation points, blockade areas as well as field checkpoints on the border areas. Support the medical force to take samples for testing, transportation, and vaccination, participating in the social security model visit and give gifts to the forces on the front lines against COVID-19 pandemic and children boost, etc. The local armed force in Military Zone number 7 has also mobilized organizations and individuals to support the locals and people's pandemic prevention and control with a total amount of over 440 billion Vietnam dong. The units deployed to support spraying disinfectants and disinfecting in the pandemic areas and industrial zones throughout the military zone, coordinate with localities to support taking more than 2 million workers and students back to their hometowns according to their wishes, mobilize nearly 1,200 officers and soldiers and about 348 cars to help the people harvest, transport and consume more than 1,000 tons of agricultural, aquatic and seafood products. In the morning of August the 11th, Human Châu District Youth Union organized to donate medical supplies to isolation areas in the district. At its isolation area, Human Châu District Youth Union donated medical masks. The total amount of support of necessities about 400 medical gloves, 2,000 masks, 80 protective suits, and about 20 bottles of lemongrass essential oil, and about 900 boxes of meal for children provided by the Provincial Center for Kids Learning and Living Activities and sponsors. And in the afternoon of the same day, the Thamuin Sudakimun District Union continued to give meal to Thamuin ethnic children in the blockade area with the motto, "The children's health increases, contributing to preventing the pandemic," and hope that the children and their families continue to strictly follow the regulations on pandemic prevention and control.
Ladies and gentlemen, according to the State Budget Department, state revenue collection in the first 7 months is estimated 67.9% of current appropriation, increasing by 15.6% from the same period in 2020.
Domestic revenue is estimated at about 65.6% of current appropriation, increasing by 12.9%. Balanced budget revenue from the import-export activity is estimated about 81.5% of current appropriation, rising to 37.5%. Meanwhile, the total budget revenue in the province in July is estimated at about 600 billion Vietnam dong. Accumulated in the first 7 months of the year, the total budget revenue is estimated at about 6,500 billion Vietnam dong and reaching to 62% of the estimated, up to 16.7% over the same period, of which the domestic revenue is about 5,700 billion Vietnam dong, reaching about 60% of the forecast, an increase of 14% over the same period last year. There are 10 of 12 revenues and domestic revenue groups have ensured the collection schedule, including important revenues collected from the three economic sectors, such as revenue collected from SOE sector with about 63.7%, and about FDI firms reach about 65.8%, and revenue collected from non-state economic sector reach about 69% of the current appropriation.
Ladies and gentlemen, in resolution number 25 in 2021, the National Assembly decided to allocate at least more than 196,300 billion Vietnam dong in the state budget for the National Target Program on building new rural areas in the 2021-2025 period,
in which capital from central purchase about 39,632 billion Vietnam dong and local budget capital about 156,700 billion Vietnam dong will be spent for the target that by 2025, the whole country will have at least 80% of communes meeting new rural standards. Specific targets by 2025 is to strive that the whole country has at least 80% of communes meeting new rural standards, of which at least about 10% communes meet the model new rural standard. No more communes meet less than 15 criteria. The average income of rural people increased at least 1.5 times compared to 2020, striving for the whole country to have at least about 50% of district, town, and the provincial cities meet new rural standards, complete the task of building new rural areas, of which at least 20% district meeting standards will be recognized as district newly enhanced rural areas and model new rural districts. Its province and centrally run city has at least about 2 district-level units that meet the rural standards. Strive to have at least 50% provinces and centrally run cities recognized from the completing the task of building rural areas. 60% of villages, hamlets, extremely difficult communes in border areas, mountainous areas, coastal areas, and islands are recognized as meeting rural standards according to new rural criteria set by Provincial People's Committee.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the context that the business community and the public are seriously affected by the health risks, TayNinhTV province will develop scenarios for economic recovery and regularly open the production in keeping with the COVID-19 prevention and control and progress of mass vaccinations.
In a presentation to the National Assembly, the results of the Socio-Economic Development Plan for the first half of 2021, the government notes that the economic growth for 5.64% during the preview period was relatively high compared to other countries, adding that the macroeconomy was stable, inflation was kept low. In the first half of the year, the consumer price index CPI increased by 1.47% compared to the same period last year, the lowest increase in 2016. The major balance of the economy, monetary market, credit exchange rates, and interest rates are also stable. The state budget revenue achieved positive results, reaching 58.2% of the annual estimate, increase of 16.3% compared to the same period last year. In the first half of the year, the total import-export turnover also increased by 32.2% compared to the same period last year. E-commerce thrived, becoming an important distribution channel to support consumption of agricultural products during this pandemic. In the specific situation of TayNinhTV province, Mr. Nguyễn Thành Ngọc, chairman of TayNinhTV Provincial People's Committee, said that from beginning of the year until now, due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, it has negatively impacted socio-economic development and local people's lives. However, with the drastic focus on implementing the dual goals of both fighting the pandemic and maintaining socio-economic development, the province economy continued to grow, with GDP increasing by 7% and export increasing by 67% over the same period. The budget revenue reached about 54% of the estimate. The total retail sales of goods and services increased by 16.6% over the same period, and the social investment capital increased by nearly 3%. The attracting for domestic and especially foreign investment maintained at very good level and ranking 9 out of 63 provinces and cities in terms of attracting foreign investment. Administrative reform and investment environment continue to be concerned. The Administrative Reform Index in 2020 increased by 17 places compared to 2019 and ranked 27 out of 63 provinces and cities nationwide. And in the last month of the year, in order to fulfill the socio-economic development targets and tasks in 2021, the People Committee of TayNinhTV Province proposed solutions including focusing on flexible response effectively prevent the pandemic situation as well as at the same time maintaining economic development, striving to achieve the targets in 2021 set out by resolution of the Provincial People's Council. Accordingly, the province focused on removing difficulties and supporting businesses, organizations, and individuals to maintain products and business, in which focusing on removing inadequacies and clearing bottlenecks in the area of planning, land investment, construction, and hindering process of development, attracting investment and activities of enterprises, affecting the legitimate rights and interests of the people. TayNinhTV also accelerates the disbursement of public investment capital and site clearance for the rapid implementation of key projects, increase the exploitation of revenue sources, especially those from land, minerals, and property auction, etc., and strive to complete, meet, and exceed the targets of 2021 budget estimate. Besides, the authority will restructure the economy drastically and effectively in association with model innovation and international economic integration to promote restructuring of state-owned enterprises and credit institutions and develop the private economy. Focus on agricultural economic development in association with agricultural restructuring and new style rural areas building, and develop the manufacturing and processing sector, supporting industry and information technology.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today TTV News. Thank you for joining with us and see you next time.